This episode of Serving Up is brought to you by our newest sponsors, ACC Leisure, specialist in racket sports flooring, helping secure the future of leisure across the UK. From local clubs to world-class courts, visit accleisure.co.uk to see how they're leading the way. We are still powered by all over the UK, the racket sports specialists, from grassroots to the pro tour. Get your gear from the people who know the game inside and out at oliversquash.co.uk. Now, before we get into it, a quick warning. My 4-year-old daughter makes a surprise Serving Up debut right at the end of this episode. So if you do hear a tiny voice joining the chat, it's not Simon's inner child. That is just my actual child. And as I've already led to, our today's guest is a true legend of the sport, Simon Rosner, former world number 3 World Championship finalist, Tournament of Champions 2018 winner, and the greatest German squash player of all time. Talk about life after the tour, staying hungry for competition, and how mindset and balance define performance at every level. Okay, let's get into it.
Oh. Hey, how are you?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Good, not bad.
Yeah.
Something's talking.
Oh, it's just something that transcribes it so that I saves me writing all the notes while I'm doing it.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Good.
so we finally made it.
We finally made it. Yeah, well, I can imagine you're very busy with everything.
Well, yeah, but it's thing is you know, getting a lot of different things in as being a club manager back home and also the national coach for the men. So it's like you get like different kind of things that you gotta take care of. So and now that weekend I'm actually in Paderborn, so in the hotel room playing Bundesliga for my team in Paderborn. So still kind of active.
Yeah.
So
you're still playing the European Club Championships, don't you?
Yeah, but I'm gonna play for Wiener Neudorf for the Austrian league team. So not for Paderborn, as we didn't qualify for this year's European clubs. We lost in the finals against Hamburg at the Nationals.
Oh yeah.
So we didn't make it. So yeah. So I'm gonna be there, but not for Paderborn. So yeah.
Exciting. I'll say well, thanks for making the time. So you got a young family as well, haven't you?
Yeah. That's why I'm doing it today, because they're not here with me. They're back home. So I'm in a room, hotel room, and tomorrow morning we go to play the next Bundesliga match in Hamburg. So we're gonna get up tomorrow early morning and drive up to it's like 3.5 hours drive, and then play against Hamburg. Maybe a good battle.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Think it'll be a win?
It's gonna be tough. We play with Rafi at 1, Rowan at 2, Victor Burtos at 3, and me at 4.
Okay.
And the other ones
they're ringing at 4, surely.
Well, it's gonna be tough though, because they play with Melville, the French guy, and then Ivan Perez, Spanish guy.
Yeah.
Yannick Omlor and Julius Bentin. So could be tough in the 1 and 2 especially position.
Well, if you win at 3, 4, and 5.
We don't have 5. It's only 3 and 4.
Oh, it's only 4, is it?
4, yeah.
How does it work if it's 2 matches all?
It's goes down to the games and points. So for example, today we played against Berlin and we won by 1 point. Literally 143 against 142.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you don't get much closer than that.
No, I can't get much closer. That's for sure.
Jesus. That was. I bet the last matches you were really literally every point you were shouting. Every point matters. Just keep going.
Yeah. Well, I knew how many points we needed, and Victor played last against Emerald Evans. and he
know him well, yeah.
yeah, and he was 2-1 down, and I knew that he needed to play 7-11 at least, so losing that game, but making 7 points because we were 5 points ahead, and he literally managed to do it to, like 7-11, which was quite cool in the end.
Oh, yeah. What would have happened
Crazy.
if it was a draw on points? What happens then?
I'm not sure if the number 1 tie decides or number 4 tie decides. There was a time when number 4 tie decided, and then, but I'm not sure what the actual rule is because it rarely ever happens. Actually, I never I
Yeah,
don't know any case where same points, same games.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but I
that'd
think
be
the number 4.
extreme.
I think number 4 tie will count, which is weird. Don't know really why that should be the case, that the number 4 tie decides, but whatever.
I say thank you for making time for doing this. Really, really appreciate it. Have you got much time? Have you got a strict you need to go to bed by X time, or?
Well, it's 10 now here, so
Yeah,
of course, I mean, we're gonna leave tomorrow morning early, like 6:30, 7 o'clock. So the earlier, like, let's aim for like 30, 40 minutes.
spot on.
Probably.
Yes, it was about
Good.
the same when we this would be the 4th one now. It was the same with Baptiste. He was just, and we were around the 30, 35 minutes. So
Okay, that's good.
that's no problem.
That's
I can keep an eye on the time.
perfect.
But yeah, no, all it is so obviously I've done Baptiste, I've done a couple of our British players
Yeah.
as well. It's just sort of to get people to see this more behind the scenes than just what they see on the court.
Yeah.
Like when I interviewed Baptiste, it was his squash court was in a doctor's surgery. That was
Okay.
his first squash court, was his doctor's surgery had one, and that's how he got into it.
Interesting.
So, there was things, and he was talking about how, Gaultier was training him and his mental and his, his fiery personality, as you know.
Yeah.
And then we've had some British players and some young players as well. But obviously for you, my wife was quite funny when I told her, because you've been one of my favourite players since I was a junior.
Oh, really?
So yeah, well, it's when I first got to Oliver, it was like watching you. And I remember you were playing Gawad in a really feisty match. Might have been one of the TOCs, and it was very physical. Which I mean, well, Gawad's about, what is he, about 5'6", 5'7", and you're
he's quite small, yeah.
And then you're what, 6'3", is it?
I'm not sure. It's 190, which is I think 6.3.
Yeah. It was a great match to watch.
I had a few ones. I also played at the British at the quarters. I think I played him. I lost 13-11 the 5th. That was a very close one.
That one might have actually been that one. Yeah, I remember it going to 5.
That must have been like 2017, 18, 17 ish.
Yeah.
That one
probably would have been
earlier?
around then. Yeah.
Okay. Could be.
Yeah. No, so I'll ask you some questions going way back, and we'll work our way through. But how did you start in squash then? We'll pretend like not many people know, but how did you first get involved with squash?
Oh, well, I went to hit the balls with my dad. My dad and my older brother used to both play squash, and it happened to be not my favorite sport in the beginning. I think I've told that story quite often already when people ask me. But I think the first probably 2-3 years I just went to go with them because they went and they played, but I didn't really enjoy it at all. I was just on the court smiling away, not really knowing what I'm doing there. And and then after maybe 2-3 years, slowly I started to find my way into it. My older brother was always the better player. He always beat me, and then there was a time when I felt like I shouldn't always lose against my older brother. And there was also the time when the smiling in my face turned into crying, and that's when you could see that I've kind of found my motivation to play squash. Really,
Do you remember the first time you beat your brother?
to be honest, my brother used to be playing. We both used to play tennis and squash, and my brother also used to play table tennis at the same time. So he played 3 different sports.
Wow.
And he became very successful in table tennis. He was like a European junior champion with a German team. So he was a very good table tennis player. He played with like Dmitry Ovcharov. He's like now probably top 6, 7 in the world.
Wow.
So he stopped fairly early to play squash to become a very good table tennis player. So we didn't play that often because he stopped before I kind of grew into squash a little bit more. But I remember the day when I've beaten him. That was in Nuremberg, and it turned out in the end that he was very sick that day. But I won.
But you won.
I won. It doesn't count. I won. There's no excuses. No excuses.
So what was your biggest other than your brother? What was sort of your biggest challenge as a junior? Sort of once you got into squash, that little bit more.
You mean like opponents or like things that happened in my life?
Just challenges in general. Like I grew up with Joel, and that there was somebody who we grew up with who was he won every single age group. So I know, like watching Joel, it was getting past that one person and what he had to do to get past it.
There were a few guys, but people you don't know now because they stopped very early. But I know the names, and I remember that it took me quite long until I've finally beaten them. But starting earlier, basically, I would say that I mean, I could tell you the names now, but they wouldn't probably ring a bell because they kind of that's the thing, like in sports, right? You got a lot of juniors who are very good as a junior, but once it goes into the senior level, they kind of drop out.
Yeah.
And I think we have far too many of these juniors, unfortunately, in my eyes, especially in Germany. We do people who kind of find it hard to take that next step as well, like from out of juniors going into the senior squash, and that's when most of the players kind of drop out in Germany, at least. But there were a few guys. You always had challenges, no matter if it was when I was 9 or 10 or 12, 13, 15, 16. And even later when I was PSA Pro, I remember that there were especially 2 names. They come into mind when it comes to players I've never beaten and finally beaten them once and then kind of never lost again. That was, for example, Davide Bianchetti. He was he was one of those opponents I've never beaten, and the first time I've beaten him, I've never lost anymore. And another good friend of mine, LJ, also. I think I've lost I don't know how many times I've lost to those 2 players, and then I didn't really know. I didn't have a clue how to beat them. And then the first time I've beaten them, I think I've never really lost again. So that's quite interesting how, out of psychology as well, like how things run in elite sports as well.
What did you go into the match thinking differently? Obviously, now once you'd beaten them once, was it you totally different going on there with what you were thinking?
I think it's just like a knot that's kind of releasing. It's like mentality wise, it's something that's it's difficult to explain. It's something that once you've kind of beaten that person, you got that confidence to do it again and to do it again. But you need that first bloody win in order to get that confidence, in order to play the squash that you can actually play. and play at that level that you can actually play. But I think in order to do so, you need to release that knot to, win those matches, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go back and touch it because I see as well what you're saying about the juniors and the senior leap and how you can see how maybe some juniors are beating others, but like Jonah Bryant, he didn't win the boys in the 19s, but people knew he was probably the one who was going to make the leap. What was the hardest thing for you going from juniors to seniors?
For me personally, I was always a very hardworking guy, I'd say. So for me, it wasn't that super difficult because I knew, let's say, in the age of 14, 15, that this is what I want to do, becoming a squash pro and being the best player I can be. So I can't really name something that's outstanding or comes to mind when it comes to a very tough part of becoming that player from as a junior to become a very good senior player. But I think that I go back like a little bit earlier when I was like 10, 11 years old. I had a Pakistani coach who was my personal coach, you could say, training me every day for 2 hours. And I went with him to Pakistan in my summer holidays from school.
Right.
6 weeks. So it was a full 6 weeks of my summer holidays from school. I went in the summertime to his place and trained basically 5-6 hours every day. And my dad came with me the first year to basically see if everything is fine, if everything is good. And he left after a week because my dad has a business, like a bakery business, maybe you've heard of it. And so he couldn't leave the business on his own, alone for such a long period. So I stayed with my coach, and I think that was like the biggest part of me becoming a very good squash player, because everybody who was involved, no matter if it was my coach or if it was my dad or my mother, all my supporters, they kind of they realized how much I wanted it already at the age of what was it, 11 years old and 12 years old. If let's say if you're that young and you're leaving your country and go to Pakistan to train every day for
Yeah.
5-6 hours, that's already psychology wise, it rings some bells probably that, okay, this boy, he's actually up for it and he wants it a lot. And I think that was a big part of my process in realizing as well for everyone who was involved in my career, that Simon, he actually wants to be the best player in the world. And
So do you think that's what's missing with the current juniors then, that the hard work and the really, really wanting it?
if that's something that's missing nowadays,
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one part of it. Yeah, I think, but that's I keep talking about it quite often nowadays, because I think it's not just a sports problem that we have nowadays. I think it's a general problem in the society at the moment, that many things have shifted, and everybody wants to have a nice work-life balance. That's a lovely word, isn't it? Work-life
Yeah.
balance. Everybody wants to feel comfortable and don't go out of their comfort zones. And I think that's basically all you have to do in order to become a good squash player, or no matter what you want to become, you need to get out of that comfort zone and go out there and work your ass off, basically, in order to become good. So, and I think that's something that it's a little bit obvious, that something that's missing nowadays in comparison to maybe 20 years ago. Something definitely that should and has to be improved. But it's, I think that's the whole movement of society as well, a little bit, like everybody wants to have his safe place. Of course you want to have a safe place, and everything should in a perfect world, this is what it is, but it's not always like that. It's not always, black and white. So you need to go out there and work for your success, and otherwise you'll stay there. You're not gonna move on, right?
No, I totally agree with you. It's, the things worth having never come easy, do they? It's, and especially elite sport, it's, the people who are there, early or late or whatever, usually the ones who succeed, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, we actually went with because like since January I'm the man national coach. So this summer we managed to do a camp in Egypt whilst the World Juniors. So we took all our players to Egypt to learn and see what they do differently, under what circumstances they play, what courts, like the whole surroundings, what's different, why are they so successful? And I think that's something which was was a very good experience for everyone, really, to see what maybe they do differently or maybe not, and where they can see something that's obvious, like that's just a different kind of world. But then obviously if you have, instead of, let's say, 10 good players, you have 500 or 1,000, that's something that's making the competition very, very good. And that's why they're also so good, because you come into any club in Cairo, and there's like 20-30 people who all play super good, and you don't even know them, but they have a very, very high level of squash.
Yeah, I remember listening to an interview from Darwish, and he said his club had like 2,000 members.
That's where we were.
That's really, and I was just, I was just listening to it going, I think there's only about 2,500 people in Wales registered, let alone a club.
Yeah.
But it's a totally different hunger, isn't it?
Crazy. Well, but it's the competition, right? Well, if you have that amount of players, you either push through that group of players to become better, or you leave it and then you're gonna drop out behind, basically. But if you don't have that many competitors, it's more difficult to become better. Yeah, it's not impossible. I mean, when I was 16, my dad and myself, we decided that I should leave my city where I was born in Würzburg and go to Paderborn to train under better circumstances and professional circumstances. And I remember that I talked to different pros back then as well, and they all told me, you have to leave Germany, you have to come to England, you have to go to Holland, where Holland back in the day was LJ, Pili, good players. And I said, no, I feel comfortable in Germany, and I wanna become a good player in Germany. That's where I feel comfortable. That's where I wanna be. I don't want to move somewhere where I'll wake up in the morning and say to myself, squash is great, I've got great opponents and good coach, but I don't want to be here. I think that's something which is super important in the end of the day. And I haven't moved out of Germany, and I proved that I can become the number 3 in the world. Of course, you can say maybe if you would have moved, you would have become number 1 in the world. But you could also say maybe it would have been the other way around, and you wouldn't have been that successful because you wouldn't have felt that comfortable as you should as an athlete. You have to surround yourself in a very good spot for your mind, for your body, where you can work in the best possible way. And if you don't feel comfortable where you are, you won't. You can have, like, I could have come to England and probably trained with Pete Nicol, James Willstrop, whatever, like so many good players. But I know that probably in the end of the day, I wouldn't have been as comfortable in England than in my home country, which is obvious, or which is, I think, normal as a 16-year-old boy, that you don't want to like move abroad necessarily, you know? And yeah, in the end of the day, things have things have worked out pretty good from at least from my perspective. I can't complain about what I've achieved. So yeah, there's always that one side and the other side, and you have to get the best out of yourself. And no matter what, in the end of the day, it's you who's responsible for yourself. It's not. It's always easy to blame someone else and to blame that or this, but in the end of the day, it's you as an athlete. You want to become better, and if you really want it, you can do it. If it's in Germany, if it's in France, if it's in Czech, if it's in wherever.
No, I think that's really important. With saying it's that accountability, obviously wrapping into the hard work and everything else. Yeah, like I say, it's all on you at the end of the day. Obviously, like you just said, stayed in Germany, very proud German. Which of your 11 national championships is the sweetest out of all of them? I know you've got a lot to choose from.
To be honest, I think that the first one was a special one. I've beaten the guy who actually brought me to Paderborn, the guy who taught me to move to Paderborn, Stefan Leifels. I don't know if it rings any bell. He was also a former Oliver player.
Oh, right. Okay. Maybe
lefty.
a bit before me.
He's a lefty, and he actually brought me to Paderborn, and I lived in his house. He had a flat in the top of his flat.
All right.
And I moved basically into his house, into the top apartment of his house. And yeah, basically after I moved, maybe a year later, I won my first nationals. And then, okay, each nationals were in a way big, like how it can be as a national title winner, whatever. But it started quite early that for me, that was not something that I was focusing on really. It was always about PSA. It was about climbing up the rankings and becoming the best player I can be. So the German nationals, they were one stone out of very many stones. And I didn't kind of focus, I didn't put any training priorities into putting the nationals, like that I'm prepared at 100% for that event. That was never the case. I still won the titles, 11 titles, but after the 11th title, I wasn't finished with my career. That was 2017, and I stopped playing it because I thought PSA is more important, and I wanted to, like how full the PSA schedule can be as a pro player. And if you're once like a top 10 player in the world, you get into the later stages of tournaments as well. So the time gaps in between tournaments become smaller, because when you're starting off the career and you lose first rounds, you have always at least 6 days until that tournament ends. And then you have another, let's say, 3-4 days at least till the next tournament starts. But once you climb up the rankings, just getting a little bit less breaks, and then you want to concentrate on the important ones. And for me, PSA was more important at that time.
Do you think you're obviously very driven on the what you were doing rather than I need to win this German title or this. Do you think the fact that you were working on, your performance rather than the results, do you think that sort of helped you climb up quicker? The fact you were making sure you were doing the right things.
I think it's always, I mean, it's easy to say, but in the end of the day, it's the way to the success is the important part. It's not the result, it's how you get there. And
Yeah.
that's how you should think. Because if you don't see that distance between or the way to the success, you will only see the result and you will forget how to win.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You know, like in Germany, we say der Weg ist das Ziel. I don't know if you have the same expression in English. It's basically the way to the success is the success, not
Yeah.
the success itself, not the result is not the success. It's the way to go get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
I think it's a very good saying, because once you realize that process to become a better player is the important part, then you will focus on the stuff that you have to do instead of thinking too far ahead just of the result.
Yeah.
So I do think that this is something which is very important, like psychology wise.
I do, because I know we're pressed on time. There was two tournaments I really wanted to ask you about. One, and I'll let you pick which one you want to talk about first. There was the final you had against your friend Cameron Philly, and obviously your big TOC win.
Which one was the first?
You had the you and Cameron used to have a lot of chess matches, didn't you, when you were on the tour?
Oh yeah. No, it wasn't chess. It was actually backgammon.
Backgammon, sorry. Yeah.
And he was rolling the dice at will. At will.
Just
Cam, if you see this interview, no, I mean, like, TOC title was. I mean, I can still probably. I still picture the last rally. I know exactly what happened, and then like.
we have a guest.
Still.
Hi, sweetheart. Are you okay? Yeah, if you hang on upstairs, Mommy or Daddy will be there now. Okay, sweetheart.
Okay.
That's cute.
Nice little disco. That's my eldest. She's
nice.
She's just getting used to full-time school. So a mixture of that.
Oh, nice. That's good.
No, the filly you played him in the Santiago Open. It was one of the, and yeah, it was like
in the shopping mall.
It was like 16-14 in the last game, and it just.
Yeah, I do remember that tournament, but it's not that present, to be honest. I know that I've won the tournament. I think I beat Borja in the semis, right? Was it the tournament? I think Borja in the semis and Tilly in the finals. But yeah, I mean, I have to go for the TOC. That was definitely like out of my mind, because like a little side story to TOC, for me, always New York was always a very exciting place to be at. When I was a kid, I saw pictures of my grandparents traveling to New York, and for me, New York was always something special. And I remember back in the day, it used to be that you had to qualify for tournaments, right? So the first couple of years I traveled. My dad actually came twice with me to New York, and my parents, my mom and my father. And I remember losing in the second qualification round and going to the class court just to watch the matches afterwards. And my dad and John Nimick, the promoter of the tournament, he was there, and my father went to him and we talked and we said bye, because we left the next day. And my dad said to John will come back until Simon wins this tournament. And like in the end of the day, that's the only big tournament, like one of the major ones that I won, and I actually won it in New York. So that's like a little like funny side story to the whole thing, because I mean, like I've played almost 18 years on tour and won different tournaments, but just one of this category, like the big ones. And this was the tournament that my dad said to John like many years before, when I was still a qualifier and didn't qualify, that I will come, or we will come back until Simon wins. And then it's a little nice, how do you say it, anecdote? Can you say that in English? Is it an anecdote? Yeah. So
well, I mean, that probably explains why you always did so well there, because you always seem to get to at least the semis there. And
I just love I just like the, I mean, how can you not like playing in Grand Central? It's very, very exciting, a very outstanding place for me to play at. I think, of course, you can play in front of the pyramids, which I did once actually. The tournament is just on now, but New York is definitely the place. I used to always play well in North America. Actually, I always enjoyed being there.
So I was very fortunate to be able to watch that actually in person. Your TOC win, total accident.
Oh, you were there?
Just happened to book a holiday. Got an email from PSA saying the finals are on tonight in New York. We'd literally like just landed, and I was like, I wonder how far away is that from the hotel? And then got one of these. You can view it from the front for free, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I was
nice.
thinking. I think the ladies were on first at like 6 o'clock, and I was like, oh, I better get there for 5. So much to my wife and in-laws' dismay, but I was happy as I just right at the front, watched the ladies final,
amazing.
Watch you take the win as well. It was
that's amazing.
Great.
That's an amazing story. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, no, but I was probably wearing this Oliver jacket while I was here as well. But
probably I did as well. I used to always wear this hoodie or whatever it is.
The one with
you did. Front, yeah.
No, I mean, I say, well, I'll give you one last question before you go. You are undoubtedly the best player to come out of Germany. Obviously, highest rank in the national titles. And obviously now you're coaching as well. What legacy do you want to leave once you're fully retired? Obviously, retired from playing, but when you decide, right, that's it, me done. What do you want people to remember about you and everything you've accomplished?
Well, I hope that people would rate me as a fair and honest player. I think I always try to play the game in the right way, the right spirit. Fair, and I always try to be humble. I try to I just like the sport is the one side of the whole thing, but I think it's good to be a good person. So I hope that people would basically look back and say, okay, he was a good squash player, but he was an even nicer person. That would make me happy as a person.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. And I'm sure I'll have another topic I'll be wanting to pick your brains on.
Of course, no worries. You can call me anytime.
No worries. Thank you very much, Simon. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Again, a huge thank you for Simon Rosner for joining us and taking time out of his busy schedule and delaying his bedtime for me. It was insightful, honest, and you can tell he is still as competitive as ever. Before we go, of course, a thank you to our sponsors, ACC Leisure, setting the standard for racket sport flooring and helping us secure the future. Visit accleisure.co.uk for more information. And, of course, to Oliver UK, racket pioneer since 1938, supporting players and coaches at every level. And remember, England squash members get an exclusive discount code through their membership portal. Next week, I'm joined by the one and only Jesse Engelbrecht, performance coach, author, and founder of SportMind, to explore the mental game, resilience, and the power of response over reaction, going through a few examples as well in real life scenarios. So looking forward to that as well. Take care and see you next time.